Hi, Ron here from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and welcome to the L.T.L Tutoring Central video channel. Now, last week I talked about the learning space, and I'm making a series of videos and blogs all about how can I help my child succeed, because a lot of parents or grandparents or others want to help their child succeed in school. So here are a few tips. Last week we talked about the learning space. This week I'm talking about using an agenda, sometimes called a student planner or a calendar. It goes by different names, but basically it's a little book, and this is mine actually. It doesn't have to be a student planner. Any kind of planner or agenda book will work. And inside you can keep track of, there's all the days. You can keep track of your courses, your lessons, your sports activities, all of these kinds of things, and it can all be kept in one neat little book. Now, there are online or digital versions that you can use, and that's great if it works for you. But I would suggest at least trying both and see which one works best. I prefer the book, maybe because I've used it for so long, but I did try this year to do, and I've tried a couple of times before with different platforms to do my calendar or my agenda online or with digital technology. I find it much slower. There's far too many bells and whistles that I don't need, that just keep interrupting and getting in the way. Every time someone phones me and wants to make a change, I grab my book and open the page, make the change, done. I don't have to worry about Wi-Fi, making a connection, having my device, clicking on 6 different buttons. It's done in an instant, and I carry my book with me wherever I go. So it's always a problem, and it never crashes. So it's up to you, but I love the book version. I've had students who had it on their cell phones, can't access it sometimes, forgot to put it in, don't remember how to use the buttons, whatever. There's always excuses, you know, but use what works for you, but use an agenda. It's very important to have a plan, and really the student planner or agenda is just that. It's like the ultimate plan or the big plan. So every time the teacher gives homework assignments, write it in. When you have sports activity, write it in. And very important is to block off your nightly time or your daily time for your homework. So if you're doing an hour or an hour and a half, 2 hours each night for homework, block that time off in your agenda. Even if it's the same every day that you do it, maybe 4 or 5 days a week, block it off anyways, because that way it's all kept in one place and you can check it off as you do it. And that motivates you to keep doing it, to get an excellent record of having done your homework every night, and it helps you to keep track of everything and make sure that you don't plan something that conflicts with what you're supposed to be doing for homework. When you're writing in assignments, if you have a major assignment, now if you're a student you can do this yourself obviously. If you're a very young student you might need your parents' help. So parents, you can help your child even if he or she is in high school or even older, to be honest, and they're just not good at planning. You can help them by showing them that when you write in a major assignment, you don't just write in the major assignment date, you back up and you find a time when the research can be done for that assignment. When can the rough draft be done for that assignment? When do you have to hand in the rough draft? That would be a different day than the due date for the final draft. So you need all of that information, and keeping it in a planner in one location where you can access it at any time, that is incredibly useful. You don't want to turn the page and see, I have an assignment due on Monday and I haven't started it yet, and it's Friday night or worse, Sunday. And believe me, over 20 years of tutoring, I've seen this over and over and over. Not just by using the agenda incorrectly, but not using the agenda at all. And suddenly a student realizes, I have a major assignment due, and I ask, when is it due? Tomorrow or in 2 days, but it's a major assignment that should have taken 2 or 3 weeks. They knew about it 2 months ago, but they didn't write it down and they didn't keep track. And sometimes they come up with all kinds of reasons. I thought the teacher would warn me more often. I thought there'd be a red alarm bell or something, you know. or I have a good memory. I never forget these things. Well, yes, you do. Everybody forgets sometimes, and so that's why it's good to have it written down. I write everything down so that I can keep track of my business. So this is also good practice for when they're working in whatever workplace they will later. They may need to keep track of appointments and meetings and other important dates. So always a good idea, even for the future, even in the workplace, or even for yourself if you're in the workplace. I have lots of adults who could do very well to use a planner or an agenda so that they're not constantly panicking. And this is the other piece. Students often panic. So they're very laid back, they're very relaxed until something comes due, and then all of a sudden there's a huge panic. Now, most of that is because it hasn't been planned effectively. It hasn't been organized, and they didn't know what was coming. Having that in place and using it consistently will reduce the stress and anxiety and reduce the need for panic at the last moment. It's never too late to get started using the agenda or the planner. So even though while I'm making this video we're in February, there are still several months of school for this year, and it's good to get in practice so that you keep using it for the following years as well. I'm going to put some links below to the blog, which is on this same topic, but also to some student planners or agendas that you can purchase if you don't already have one. If you have one, start using it today. If you don't have one, go get one today or tomorrow, but right away, so that you can start using it and start helping your child to use it if he or she either doesn't know how to use it or is reluctant to use it. A lot of students will debate with me and say, I don't need a planner, I've never used it, what's the point? It's a waste of time, I just have to do this extra work by writing it down. But the idea is that it will save you time in the long run. When you're not stressing, you're not panicking, you're not scrambling to try to get something done, plus the quality of your work will be better because you have an organized plan, you know when you're going to be doing the work and how long you have to do it, and that means you can put more quality into the finished product by the time you get there. You've had time to do the proper research, you've had time to get the correct information, do the rough drafts or the planners that sometimes teachers hand out that you need to fill in before you do the final draft. All of that can be done more correctly and raise your score. Sometimes a student gets the final product done on time, but they didn't do the planner, and there were marks for that. So those marks are gone, they're lost. So it's very important to know what you're supposed to do, and a great way of knowing is keeping track and keeping a plan. So try that. Try using an agenda or a planner of some kind. You can even just make one if you don't want to purchase something. But they're very cheap. They're very reasonably priced, and they're such a valuable tool. Let me know how it works for you, how you get on. It might take a little effort with some of the children and a lot of time to keep reminding them to use it and even help them to use it, but it is worth it in the end, and most of my older students have learned the value of using a planner, so I know that your child can do it as well. It's Ron Johnson from L.T.L. Tutoring Central. I'll put a link below, as I said, for the blog, and also for a study skills course, a discount coupon for you, and some agendas that you can purchase if you so desire. In the meantime, have a great week, and I will talk to you again next week about how to help your child succeed in school. Bye for now.